Japan is considering constructing a $170 billion tunnel connecting Japan to South Korea. The Korea Strait is a narrow sea passage separating Japan and South Korea. On each side of it are the Busan and Fukuoka Kita-Kyushu metro areas, with populations of 3.4 and 5.5 million people. The Korea Strait not only separates these urban centers, but also the entire country of Japan, with a population of 126 million and a GDP of $5.2 trillion from all of mainland Asia and beyond. Meanwhile, the Korea Strait is only 180 kilometers wide and has a max depth of only 227 meters, with two large, conveniently located islands right in the center of it. Because of this, the idea of a tunnel across the strait is being explored. The idea was originally proposed in 1917 by Imperial Japanese officer Kuniaki Koiso. However, it was first seriously pursued in 1939 by Imperial Japan. Japan wanted to build a tunnel across the strait to further integrate its colonies, including Korea, while also connecting itself to its ally Germany and Europe. In 1941, geological surveys were conducted, and by 1942, Japan's plans were finished. However, by 1944, Japan was on the defense in the Pacific War, and its economy was slowly crumbling. The tunnel plans were abandoned. Since the end of World War II, several newer proposals have been explored. In the mid-1980s, the Korea-Japan Friendship Tunnel was introduced, a proposal for a tunnel between Busan and Fukuoka that would cross 4 of the strait's islands. The tunnel would then connect to the Sanyo Shinkansen and Ko-Rail, making high-speed travel between Tokyo and Seoul possible. In the 1980s, this tunnel had a projected cost of $70 billion, or $169 billion in 2020. However, nothing came of it. Then, in the early 2000s, 3 newer proposals were introduced. All 3 of these would start in Karatsu, Japan, and would traverse the Iki and Tsushima Islands. 2 would end in Koje Island, and the other would end in Busan. The favored proposal was the one ending in Busan, covering 230 kilometers. It would include a bridge from Karatsu to Iki Island. A 60-kilometer-long tunnel would then traverse the gap to Tsushima Island, followed by land routes across the island and a 68-kilometer-long tunnel to Busan. The tunnels would have 2 possible designs. The first design would include 2 smaller rail tunnels with a service and maintenance tunnel in between, like the Channel Tunnel between the UK and France. The second design would include a single massive tunnel hosting both rails and a highway. These mega projects would cost between $134 to $190 billion and would take between 15 to 20 years to construct. Such a connection would have major advantages. If a high-speed rail line was installed, the tunnel would turn a long ferry trip into a 50-minute-long train ride, and would drastically reduce travel times and fees for the 20,000 people traveling between the countries every day. The tunnel would create approximately 45,000 new jobs and would reinvigorate Japan and South Korea's construction industries. The tunnel, by serving as a gateway to and from the Korean peninsula, could expand South Korea's tourism industry beyond Seoul. However, the tunnel's main advantage would be connecting Japan to mainland Asia and beyond. Tokyo to Seoul would be only a 7-hour train ride. The tunnel would allow for the construction of the Besito Highway, a proposal to connect the megacities of Shanghai, Tianjin, Beijing, Seoul, Osaka, and Tokyo, all with populations over 10 million. The cost to ship a 6-meter container from Osaka to Busan would drop from $665 to only $472, a 29% decrease. This would dramatically improve Japan's trade with Europe and the rest of Asia. In addition to all this, the tunnel would have political advantages. By increasing South Korean and Japanese unity, it could help blunt China's growing influence over the region. Furthermore, the tunnel is physically feasible. The Korean Strait has a max depth of only 227 meters. Tunnels already exist at lower depths, and currently in Norway, a tunnel is being bored 392 meters below sea level. Not only is such a tunnel feasible, Japan and South Korea already have significant experience with megaprojects near its scale. Lastly, the tunnel would be a true marvel of human accomplishment. The two tunnel sections would each be longer than the current world record holder, the Seikan Tunnel, which is also in Japan. Unfortunately though, a Korea-Japan tunnel would have many problems. First of all, Japan and South Korea are not the best of friends. They are both allied to the US, but their relationship is strained by many conflicts, including an ongoing trade dispute. In addition, Japan has a long history of invading Korea, dating back to the 16th century. Some Koreans can still remember the period of Japanese control between 1910 and 1945. For this reason, many Koreans oppose connecting themselves to Japan. In addition, some Koreans believe their country will gain little from it, while allowing Japan to expand its regional influence. Furthermore, Korea and Japan use different rail gauges and even drive on different sides of the road, adding further logistics issues. Not to mention, if the tunnel is to service railways beyond South Korea, it will have to travel across North Korea, who is still technically at war with the South and has a very volatile government. A solution to this would be avoiding North Korea completely by constructing another tunnel from South Korea to Weihai, China. However, this tunnel would be even longer and more expensive than the first, certainly making the project economically unjustified. Ultimately, a treaty would have to be signed with North Korea. In addition to all this, with the tunnel sections being so long, there would be inherent safety issues, including tunnel fires and serious auto accidents. Lastly, the tunnel project would be incredibly expensive. Its approximate cost of $170 billion is over 8 times the cost of the Channel Tunnel between the UK and France. It would be more expensive than the International Space Station and would be the second most expensive megaproject in history, only sitting behind the entire US interstate highway system. And even with such a high cost, it could still not support the entire flow of goods and people between the countries. Because of this, the project has not yet advanced. In 2009, at the height of the global economic recession, the idea was popular with both the Japanese and Korean governments, who were excited by its prospects of job creation and economic stimulus. However, after some feasibility reports, it was realized that the project would be economically unfeasible. Nowadays, people are still debating whether it would be worth it. With the world continuously developing, both politically and economically, maybe one day, the project will be clearly justified and constructed, finally connecting Japan to mainland Asia. If you enjoyed this video, it would be amazing if you like and subscribe for more videos very similar to this one. Also, remember to check out the comments and join the conversation. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.